Higher knees, come on, get him up, get him up. Push out that front leg. Higher knees, higher knees.
Wow, I'm not ready for that one.
Hey everybody, Dr. Ben here with Alpha Sports with Eddie at Cap Elite. So what we're going to go over today is running, why it's important. Be right back. All right, everybody, Dr. Ben here with Eddie. So like I said, he works at Cap Elite. He's what's new in making the sprinters faster. So Eddie, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what you do and what kind of sets you apart from other, I would say, running programs, if you will.
Yes, thanks, Dr. Ben. So basically, I am a speed and power coach. I've kind of narrowed that down. I used to do the sports performance for everything: strength, power, speed, agility, balance, coordination. But what I've seen is that these days, speed has become so important, and there's not a lot of places that can really get you faster. And a lot of people don't believe you can get faster. A lot of people think it's just genetic. It is what it is. So you're not able to get faster. So basically, I can disprove that. I have a system that I've created over the last 12 years that allows us to really push boundaries with our athletes and push that speed. And it begins with teaching them how to run correctly first, how to apply force, how to drive the knees, how to drive, where are the hand placements, the elbow placement, the posture of the pelvic tilt, all those little things that don't get taught to us when we're young.
Yeah.
We teach that, and then from there, once that's better, we then start pushing the speed, and we do it through our 8-session protocols, where we strengthen the movement. Once it's set, we strengthen, and we use all the tools that we have at our disposal with the eccentric overloading and the Vertimax explosive band system. Our high performance treadmill is the key to this. It's a $25,000 treadmill that can incline 40 degrees and go 31 miles an hour. Most people aren't going to get 31 miles an hour, but it gives us that flexibility. I do have one kid that hit 28, so actually I have two, but that's rare.
Yeah.
So, but the idea is that we teach them how to run. We then push those biomarkers little by little by little by little, and we take them through the system, the 8-session cycle, and then that cycle starts over again, and we do it at a higher level. So it's like weightlifting. When we weightlifting, we don't just go through a 6-week program, a 12-week program, and then stop. You keep going, and you keep going based on what your last max is worth, if you want to use a proper weight. Mm-hmm. So same thing here. We test every 8 sessions. We test max speed, and then when we go back to the beginning of the cycle, we're strengthening it at a higher level. We're generating more power at a higher level, and then we test the max speed again. And it just kind of keeps evolving that way.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to ask kind of a basic question first. Why is running important when you're trying to be an athlete?
I think running is the foundation of your movement. If you're able to move your body, in the way it's meant to move, forward, laterally, reverse, whatever that direction might be, mm-hmm. It all is the foundation of the sport. So if you're a track runner, obviously you're running straight, and that's what you do. If you're a football player, soccer player, basketball player, and you're doing all kinds of different cutting and directional change, that's also comes into the speed and the power and explosiveness of which you do that movement. So having that speed helps that transition in being more explosive, during those cuts. Yeah. Same thing with all team sports that have that explosive aspect to it. Yeah. Can benefit from what we're doing.
So more specifically with what you're doing and with your athletes, you said you're kind of almost hacking those biomarkers and kind of increasing them one by one by one. And I feel like that's a very uncommon thing to hear. Most people think, oh, I am this fast and this is all I can get to. You kind of alluded to that, where we think we only have a certain speed we can get to. What is it that is different about the eccentric loading and everything else that you're doing here that's allowing you to actually get higher speeds with those athletes?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the main things is when we train, let's say we're on the field training, you're a coach training athletes on the field or on the track, and we're making them do sprints or doing exercises. Well, when the body gets tired, the biomarkers shut down. Mm-hmm. So you're now not performing at 100% in order to push that biomarker. Where coming in here with the tools that we have and our spotting technique and the methods in which we strengthen that stride and the movement, we're able to hold the athletes longer at a higher speed with proper form, which is where those biomarkers keep getting pushed little by little by little. So if I can hold you 2 seconds longer, at a certain speed, longer than you would have normally done if you were on land, well, you just got a little bit better. It's like spotting. Let's say I'm doing bench press, and I do 10 reps easy. Well, I'm really not going to get a whole lot of that. But if I have the right load and I'm getting a little bit of a spot on that last 1 or 2 reps, well, now I got something out of that. Body works the same way with speed. If I am pushing that athlete a little bit longer on that speed at that incline, well, now they just got something more out of it. And then we do that every rep. I mean, every set. And that way they get better.
So you're pushing their threshold, so to speak, and being able to get their top end speed just a little bit faster, a little bit faster, a little bit faster.
Correct.
Okay, makes sense.
In order to get faster, you have to get stronger. Once that movement is stronger, you have to make the movement more explosive. Okay, now you've got to increase that rate of which you're moving that load. So with the eccentric overloading that we do and the Vertimax resisted loading that we do, we're able to combine our program and get power and speed into that session, which is critical, for speed development. You can't get faster if you're not getting stronger, more explosive, right? Speed is the last thing that comes.
Okay.
So when you come through our program, we're not even near max speed for the first, few weeks, because we're trying to strengthen and trying to get that movement more explosive. Then it comes towards that last week where we start really pushing that speed, and then the results, you really start seeing the results, kick in, because they now have the movement, they're comfortable with the movement, they're applying force correctly, they're stronger, they're more explosive, so that speed just comes a little bit easier. And then every time they go through the cycle, they're just pushing that biomarker a little bit faster, 1 mile an hour faster this 8 weeks. Next 8 weeks, another mile an hour faster. So, just little by little, that speed keeps going.
So one of the things that I don't think a lot of people think about, other than maybe professional runners, girls who are actually just running track, maybe not, or other athletes, is like you're saying, like making sure that they're putting the force in correctly.
Correct.
What can you explain that a little bit more? What you mean by like actually putting the force in?
So there are a few key factors in developing speed. Ground force production. How much force am I applying into the ground in the right direction to drive my body forward? How my stride frequency is affected. So the faster the frequency, the greater the force, and then the right stride length. Those 3 things are key to speed development. So as we're training the athletes, we're hitting on all those things, while they're going through their sessions, so they get that sweet spot and they're able to learn how to apply force correctly. So, a lot of kids will come in and they'll just start lifting their knees up, thinking they're getting their knees up, but they're not applying force in the right way, and they're just kind of doing like a high knee drill, where once they start learning how to apply it correctly and gain ground, that's when the magic happens, I guess, per se.
So apparently running is a lot harder than just running. So are there any exercises or any cues or any homework that you give your athletes when they're beginning versus like when they're progressing through the program?
Yes, I like to not have them go run, because I can't control if they're running with right form.
Oh yeah.
But I do encourage them to strengthen the movement. So we'll do a lot of box step-ups for strength and stability, slow, controlled, stabilize the knees, stabilize the hips, strengthen the quads, the glutes, the hamstrings. So lunge work, box step-ups, anything that's strengthening. Then when they come here, then we'll take care of the form and technique.
So making sure that you're moving well through stability. Who knew? It's weird, very weird, very cool. So for those athletes that aren't necessarily sprinters in their sport, but they're more endurance, or they're just not having to get to that top end speed, what does training typically look like for them, and how do you apply that for their specific roles in those sports?
So to be an explosive athlete, the basic movement, from a sprinting standpoint, a jumping standpoint. So if you think for a second, if I'm about to jump up, for a split second, my ankle and knee, hip are fully extended. So I go into triple extension. When I run, right, I go triple flexion, I come down, and just before I take off, ankle, knee, hip fully extended. So I go into triple extension. So everything's based on that triple extension movement. So we're training you how to be an athlete by teaching you and becoming, without having to think about it, hitting that triple extension every time you come in and doing something. And then we're doing it both when we go laterally, when we go vertically, or when we're running. So any athlete, whether you're a football player, baseball player, volleyball player, softball player, soccer player, anything that has to do with being explosive at any given time, this training is greatly beneficial for.
Yeah, it makes sense. A lot of our weightlifters are always trying to hit that triple extension, especially when they're trying to do like a power clean. As soon as they pulling that barbell up off the ground, getting into triple extension right before they drop underneath it. So makes sense. I think a lot of people will understand that pretty easily. So awesome. Well, thank you, Eddie, for your time. We're definitely going to have some videos of Dr. Mitch and I both trying out the treadmill. We already tried the eccentric overloading, which was terrible, but fun. So there you go. You can look forward to that.
Terrible in a good way.
No, terrible in a fantastic way. I felt everything. I felt my age too. All right, go forth, become an alpha.